the first commandment out of the 10 commandments is you shall have no other gods before me. And this one of the things I want to say is that I've learned that the first 3 commandments are pretty much about loving God.
Yeah.
The rest, it could be argued, of course, but the rest are about loving others. And so this first one, you shall have no other gods before me. What do you think about this commandment, and how does it show that this is about loving God?
Honestly, it's actually kind of interesting, and it's also kind of hard to think about, just because as Christian believers, and just any like relationship over religion believers, like that believe in a relationship with God, we believe that there's only one God and there's only one way to heaven. So therefore, it's hard to kind of like digest the whole thought of having no other gods above him. But I think what he's trying to say is, in a way, is like, don't have anybody, don't put like other people or anything as above them. Like, for example, if you play like soccer or something, that's not a god, but it's something that you can so easily just put in front of, like going to church or reading your Bible and saying like, no, I got practice in the morning, I'm gonna go to sleep, I'm not gonna pray. And then it's interesting because then it's like, it's not like you're saying soccer is a god, but in a way, God is going to feel like that. Because he's a very selfish God in that sense, where he says, put nobody except for me. So he's the only God, and he should be the only one, and he should be your main priority. And not even like a list of priorities. He should be like in the center, and because of that, other things will stem.
Yeah, and I think you touched upon the second one too, which is you should not make idols, and those two are very connected, I think.
Yeah.
Like you said, you should have no other gods but God, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the idols is one of the most important things that we don't want to miss out on this. One of the things that I know you're gonna cover later on in yours, in your page, in your Instagram page. And one of the things that I cover when working with my students is the addictions, you know?
Yeah.
And how addictions can have control over you. And we were talking about earlier about how like there's addictions of technology.
Yeah.
There's drugs, you know, there's even pornography, and how like very young adults and, you know, at any age, you can put those things above God. And sometimes like, actually a lot of times I would say, it's not like you're doing it on purpose. It's not like you're like saying like, oh, this thing is above it. But because it has so much control of your life, it has become a god, you know?
And yeah, it's like people begin to idolize their addictions and they even begin to deconstruct like their faith to fit into what they want it to be. And it's interesting because like, let's just take one of those examples, like technology, for example. And you begin to, I guess, think like, oh, I can be on Instagram instead of the Bible. And it's like, if I'm looking at these like godly posts, it's the same as reading the Bible. And that's like idolizing an Instagram page over literally the book that God made for us. So it's like, you begin to idolize it, and it's just, you try to say like, oh, this is good for my faith, and it's the same thing as this. And you're basically taking something human, like that humans made, and comparing it to something that God made, if you really like put it down to the core. So,
and I'm not saying at least that like all these things are evil or anything.
Yeah, they're not evil at all.
For example, like there's this thing that says like, a very popular saying says, the root of all evil is money, right?
Yeah.
That's not true. Money is not the root of all evil, and I would argue that money is not evil, right? But in the Bible it says the love of money is what could be evil, right?
Yeah.
And that's when the love of this, or when an addiction happens, or when you put money first, that's when it becomes evil, and that's when it becomes bad, and it could be terrible for your life and for the life of the people around you.
Yeah, because a lot of like going back to like social media, like posts about God are so positive, and it's amazing because it's a way to grow your faith and stem your faith.
Yeah.
But when you really like start to think like, like putting it over the root and core things that God have told us to do, like read your Bible, pray, and talk to Him in every single way, and listen to Him.